Hi everyone. Yesterday I had the opportunity to speak as the keynote at the Community Awards ceremony, and I just wanted to share that message with you so that you would hear the same thing that I shared with the community. And so first of all, I thanked them for inviting me to speak on behalf of our school district and emphasize the fact that our school district represents the community and that we are very thankful for the support that we receive from the community. I shared this picture of our little ones, Alex the redhead, Andrew with the brown hair there, and Jennifer with the blonde hair. When they were little, I had a defining moment in my life, and that was teaching Sunday school to them. Up until that point, I had been an accounting major, and when I started teaching Sunday school at St. James United Methodist Church in Danville, I realized that I was not on the path that I should be on and switched majors over to education at that point. I went to DAC and earned my bachelor's of elementary education through Eastern Illinois University. And so I had a great opportunity through DACC to continue my education. I love this picture because they are just grinning from ear to ear, but I showed everyone yesterday what life was really like with those three little ones. This is the picture that was in the church directory here at Hoopeston United Methodist Church. The photographer just gave up finally trying to get these children on film and said, you all need to just put your hands underneath your armpits and squeeze as hard as you can. And so finally they got a picture. But I led this all up in explaining to everyone who was at the ceremony yesterday that I do believe that what we do is a calling, and I feel like along the way that's the way it has been definitely for me, and I feel that is the way it is for all of us, that we're here teaching and working with our kids for a reason, and that is that we're meant to be here and we're meant to make a difference. And so I shared the slide that we talked about at the beginning of the year, that when we decided that we wanted to be picked to be educators, that we didn't sign up for mediocrity, that we signed up for excellence, and that each of us also signed up to be pillars of the community as educators, people to look up to, dedicated in regards to our character and our professionalism, people with positive minds, believing the best in our kids, and also being dedicated to working collaboratively to help our kids achieve their dreams. And why do we do this? Because it's the right thing to do and because someone did that for us. And so I talked with the group about defining moments in education, like we discussed at the beginning of the year. And we discussed those teachers and educators who came to mind, those people who made a difference in their lives, and what were those characteristics of those people. And you remember the word cloud that we made together at the beginning of the year. We made a word cloud yesterday with community members, and so that their word cloud, well, this was our word cloud at the beginning of the year. Caring and encouraging were a couple of big words that stood out for us as being really important in making a difference in the lives of our kids. And then the word cloud yesterday with the community was very similar, with caring being the most important word there in connecting with our kids. And so that led into a discussion about the mental health crisis that we really have across the nation and that we're feeling here at Hoopeston area, and how important it is to take those words that we just talked about, building caring and encouraging relationships with our kids, and making that a basis for what we do. We can't get to our curriculum if we haven't built those relationships with our kids. I talked with the group about the things that we've been doing here at Hoopeston area to be proactive in helping our kids. The youth mental health first aid training at the beginning of the year, the trauma-informed practices training that we received. We're doing a trauma-informed practices book study. It's a step-by-step implementation guide for administrators and school personnel. We've been doing that book study all throughout the year, meeting once a month. Next year, we will invite anyone interested at each school to participate in that same book study. In the year after that, expand that out even further. We're reviewing our social emotional curriculum at this point to see if there are ways that we can improve upon that. We have our mentoring program that's still launching and getting going. And then just recently, we partnered with Iroquois Mental Health Center, Iroquois West School District, Carle Hospital, and then Houston Area School District to write a significant mental health grant that's being submitted actually tomorrow. There were a lot of meetings that took place, and my hope is that that is approved. That will help us to get more mental health services available for our students. I shared with the community statistics that we have that help us to know that we do have a mental health crisis. In 2016, our students took the Illinois Youth Survey, and our 12th grade students at that time at Houston Area reported that, well, 35% of them reported experiencing depression, and 16% of them had considered suicide. Recently, we gave the BEST screener. BEST stands for Behavioral and Emotional Screening System. We know that 20.8 of our students across the district came out as being elevated or extremely elevated risk for externalizing behaviors. Those are the behaviors that we see that are concerning social emotional behaviors. 27.7 came out elevated or extremely elevated risk for internalizing behaviors. Those behaviors we can't see, such as anxiety and things of that nature. And then 30.1% came out as being elevated or extremely elevated at risk for adaptive behaviors. Those are the behaviors that help our students to understand how to respond in different situations in order to manage their social and emotional health. We also have CDC data from 2015 that tells us that suicide is the third leading cause of death among 10 and 14-year-olds, and the second leading cause of death among 15 and 24-year-olds. So we know we have a mental health crisis, and we are doing things in our school to help with that crisis. But what else can we do? Hope changes everything, and we want to figure out different ways to give our students hope. We're working on building relationships. We're working on our knowledge of how to interact with our kids. We're working on our systems. But what else can we do to give our students hope? And that's the other thing that I talked about with the group yesterday that I'd like to share today. Dr. Nacko, the president at DACC, has shared information about a program called Promise Scholars. And so yesterday I talked with the group about that, and I really am excited to share information about that with you all today. So if you would imagine living in a community that could proudly declare everyone who lives here graduates from our high school and is also guaranteed college education. So you would be right to expect that a city or a town that makes that promise, everybody who goes to our high school and graduates is guaranteed a college education, that they have no problem attracting new families, young families to live in their town, and that the students at their high schools are very successful in reaching graduation and post-secondary goals. So Promise Scholars is basically a community's guarantee of college for all of its high school graduates. It's an idea that's spreading across the nation. It's been around for a while, and there's a really good research base on positive effects. The thing that makes this work is a teamwork approach, and it is a focus of a community base in making it happen. The school doesn't fund this. The community funds it and vocally supports it through work with the local community college or another local college, the high school itself, civic groups, educational foundations, and the municipal government. And so what are the community benefits? Well, first of all, we're giving hope to our students, something we know is very important with the mental health crisis that we have. It creates, a system like this creates an educated community workforce. It boosts the pride in the community. It creates a lot of positive publicity about the community, and it supports economic development. So if we were to do Promise Scholars at Hoopeston area, we would develop our Hoopeston area communities by instilling hope in our students and their families and promising our 9th grade students as they enter high school both college acceptance at DACC and tuition-free attendance at DACC through participation in our Promise Scholars program. There are 3 fundamental strategies involved in this type of program. The first thing is that we get together and we set benchmarks for the program for students to achieve in order to participate. There's a lot of research behind attendance, extracurricular participation, and community service being important attributes in success for students both in high school and beyond. So we could set benchmarks like that and also GPA possibly for participation in Promise Scholars. The second thing is that Promise Scholars program has to be completely financially supported and vocally promoted by the community and local organizations. And it's funded last dollar, because you might be thinking to yourself, how in the world? Well, it's funded last dollar and it's absolutely possible, and I'll get into that in just a minute. The third thing is that there is a commitment to addressing the needs of at-risk students and helping them to achieve this dream. So this is how Promise Scholars works. It uses a last dollar method. So if you can imagine 10 students in our school, so we have an average graduating class of 100 students. So let's take 10 of those students in mind, and know that one of the requirements of Promise Scholars is that every student fill out their FAFSA and fill out the DAC Foundation grant. So out of 10 students in our school, 7 would be expected to receive Pell and MAP grants. Right now, so that would be 7 out of 10 that would be paid, have their college paid through other means, not through Promise Scholars, but they would be our Promise Scholars. So our funding, our need to fund them wouldn't be necessary, but they would be part of our program. Then there are 3 students out of that 10 who would be left, who we would be thinking we need to fund, but those students have the availability of DAC Foundation grants, other scholarships, and it's possible that those students may want to attend other colleges, ISU, the U of I, Eastern colleges. They may not go to DACC. And so we estimate that there may be 1 or 2 students out of every 10 who would need to be funded through the Promise Scholars program. And that's where we would be looking for community contributions to help with the program. But the idea is that every student gets that college-going, career-focused mindset. The entire community gets this shift going, and there's an excitement in that. In Hoopeston, we send all of our students to college prepared. And that's the next bullet, is about college and career readiness skills being built very strongly into the curriculum. So, and that we talk with students about different options that are there. So our students who are graduating, they need post-secondary certifications of some sort to be successful. And so talking with our students and letting them know that, in following their passion, they may need a 6-month certificate. They may need a 12-month certificate to do what they want to do. They may need an associate's degree. They may need an associate's degree that transfers on to a four-year college. There's a whole spectrum of things that will post-secondary certifications. And it doesn't mean that you go to a four-year college. Success doesn't mean that. Success means being able to follow what you love, do what you love, and that doesn't necessarily mean a four-year degree. And so working with our students and understanding that in their journey would be a goal. So what are the next steps? Well, we're exploring this idea, and what I hope is that that you talk about it and that you support it and that you help in the planning stages. And then if we have community support, we'd like to do this for our kids, for our community. This will set us apart and really change the face of our community and our students and our school. We want to consider, though, before we do this, do we have the community support available to do it? Do we have the funding available outside of school to do it? And then could we possibly pilot with our freshman class that's coming up in 18-19? And so many communities face the same concerns that we do at Hoopeston area with mental health concerns, graduation rate concerns, concerns about what happens with our students after they leave high school. Are they prepared? Do they have careers where they're feeling like they're following the path they should be on? Do they feel happy in what they're doing? We're already working very hard to change the lives of our students by creating strong relationships with them. We're coordinating our efforts to address mental health issues. This is one thing that really just would set us apart and be a game changer for not only our school, but our community, for our kids. And so I look at the fishbowl on the right, and that's kind of where we are right now with every other school around us and throughout the country, and that we're facing these problems together. And I look at the fishbowl on the left, and I think Promise Scholars can really just move us out of the norm, out of what we're used to, into a really great place. And so as we move forward together, I just want to say thank you for everything, all of the hard work you have done this year to build those relationships with your students. Please continue to do that. Please continue to love them. They need that so much. And if you're interested in working on something like Promise Scholars in our community, please let me know so that I can get you connected with groups and we can see if we can raise the money to get this launched and watch great things happen yet again for Hoopeston area. Have a great day.